If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
Are 1.8 billion globally. They will make 75% of workforce by 2025. They will outspace earnings of baby boomers in less than 10 years. Smartphones and tablets are the argument settlers and fact checkers for every conversation. Get more insights on African Millennials on Africa Business Radio towards a profitable Africa.
That's cool on the beat.
All right, good afternoon, Lagos. It's a very, very sunny afternoon on the coastal city of West Africa. Somewhere in the sub-Saharan part of Nigeria. I think so, geography. All right, how are we doing? How's the week been? I can understand the rush. It's the end of the month. Everybody's trying to get the money, get the things for the family, for Christmas. So many things are going, and it's very, very interesting. I mean, it took me a while before I could get into the studio today, but then I'm here for everybody. How are we doing? How's my people somewhere in Gabon, the guys in Egypt, the guys in Kenya, the guys in Joburg? How are we doing? How's the Friday happening? And I hope some of you are getting ready for TGIF. All right, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to have a TGIF this afternoon. Maybe this night. I think I'm just going to go home and sleep. It's been a long week. All right, this afternoon we have a very, very interesting person I've known, well, virtually for I think about 2 years now. I don't know how I stumbled on her Instagram account, but then it's one of the Instagram accounts that I know that I don't regret following. It's always very inspirational. She's someone I respect a lot. She's someone who I've had the privilege to have conversations with and also put down an editorial that I work on with my partners at Business Day. Let me do a little bit of an introduction on her. She's a professor of global affairs and political science. She teaches courses on comparative politics, global issues, American foreign policy, and women in comparative political development. In addition to being a professor, she's an author, entrepreneur, global speaker, and philanthropist. She's a first-generation Nigerian-American, born and raised in the United States. Dr. Yetunde has utilized her unique disposition to empower, encourage, and inspire young people to stand out, be bold, and be proud of their unique backgrounds. Our agenda is to equip people, government, and institutions with skill sets and policies that will promote leadership, ethics, and innovation. Now, she's in conversation with Tomi Wale this afternoon to talk about her new book, Balance, and what African Millennials should focus on to achieve a very, 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 very balanced life. Dr. Yetunde Odugbesan-Omede, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for that warm welcome and for your kind words. I truly appreciate it. I'm very humbled.
Thank you for being on the show this afternoon. I mean, so, this is a secret. You are one of the very few accounts that I show a couple of ladies around and I say, I think you should follow this person. One of my very good friends, and I didn't know that she was following you also. And then I just mentioned that, of course, I follow her. Like, I mean, she's the kind of lady that a lot of us should, emulate and want to be like. I was like, okay. That means you have a lot of followers, a lot of hidden followers somewhere. Different parts of the world. All right. Yeah. So I can't wait to have your new book, Balance.
Yes.
I mean, from the launch of the CEO magazine this morning, I've gotten a couple of, nice, okay, where do I get the book from? And things like that via WhatsApp, via Instagram. Also, we've not gotten it on Twitter yet, but then I'm sure there's going to be a lot of conversations on that on Twitter. Right. If I'm just going to ask though, what inspired balance? So we're going to talk about balance, then we're going to talk about African Millennials from the way you see it. So let's just roll. What inspired balance, actually?
I think what inspired it, I think after sort of writing my second book and just kind of life happening, I think my second book, yes, I was married, had my first child, my son, and, you know, balancing career, life, family, you know, still trying to pursue my dreams, still trying to hold on to the vision that I had for myself since I was a young child. And one of the conversations, even in speaking engagements, I could be talking about politics, or I could be talking about, you know, foreign affairs. And after the conversation, you know, the general question I would always get was, how do you do it all? How do you balance? You know, you do so many things, you wear so many hats. And this was a question that I was receiving from both men and women. And I thought to myself, okay, you know, it was a general question. I guess people want to realize, how do you do it all? Or they're trying to also figure out themselves, how do they fit in all the things they want to do in their lives? And I think it was about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, I remember just driving in a car and I was, you know, talking to my husband. I said, you know, I think my next book, I want to talk about something, and I want to talk about balance. And it's the word kept coming to me, balance. And the crazy thing is that every time I would either read a magazine, or you know how when you have something in your mind and then it keeps appearing in real life, the word keeps appearing. That kept happening to me. The word, I would see the word all the time. Whether if I logged on the internet, I picked up a magazine, something flashed on the news, or, you know, or on a commercial. And I said, you know what? It's a sign telling me that, okay, this is what this is my next project. This is the next thing that I need to focus on, because I believe anything that I do has to have some form of an impact, or people have to walk away learning something or getting something to help themselves. And that's literally how I came up with this book. And I realized that even through the journey of writing this book, I believe that it wasn't even a book based on gender. That everybody thought that my next book was like, okay, it's going to be for a woman. The other one was young women's guides. And I said, you know what? When I go out, yes, I get a lot of women who follow me and who want to talk to me, but equally, I get a lot of men asking the same questions. So it's like, how did you get into the politics? Or, you know, can you give me advice? I'm trying to go into foreign affairs, or I'm trying to be a professor. Like, I got all of the same questions. But the thing about it is that, you know, with men, they don't have the same outlet. You know, sometimes their voices are sometimes unheard. And when we think of balance, we think it's only a woman's issue. Okay, she's the woman, she has children, or she's married, and I'm sure she's trying to balance life. And I think men are also trying to do the same, right? You know, they go through the same fears. You know, a new father will probably maybe feel the same way as a new mother, right? A new guy starting a new job may feel the same way as a woman getting a new job. And so I said, you know, we're really focusing on this idea of gender equality. There must be something that combines the two. And there must be something that explores the nature of what we go through as human beings. What is that collective force? And I think at the end of the day, we'll all try to balance our lives, no matter your age, no matter your religion, no matter your background, no matter where you come from. We're all trying to find the right balance in our life.
Absolutely. I mean, this speaks to me. You know, with my work as a creative director, publisher of about 4 different editorials, also the head of a company running the operations, ensuring that things are done, stuff is right. And then I have my health, I have my personal life also. I mean, I want to sit down and feel loved, not just caring for people and then thinking of what people would do. So I understand this resonates a lot. Now, especially in a world full of activities now, you know, as a millennial, right, who has the energy, right? You have something you want to do. You want to change the world. You're in an environment where you don't have so much of infrastructure. I'm talking about African millennials right now. You don't have so much of infrastructure to assist you in actually growing. So you have to get to the ground and dig up things yourself, right? Then create your own structure, and then now sort of be an authority. And then you now hope that people can also take it on from there. What are the things you think a millennial should pay attention to right now? Because there's so many things happening. So what should they pay attention to at least achieve that balanced life while they're trying to achieve their goals?
I think I think millennials, we operate a little bit different, right? We no longer are the generation that are waiting for the opportunity to find us. We definitely believe that if we can't find it, or if it doesn't open up right here and now, let's just create it for ourselves. I do also sometimes feel that we believe time is not on our side,
right?
Meaning that there's this sort of, I don't have that much time. I need to be this at a certain age. I really need to be successful, right? We are the millennial generation that we desire success, and that's perfectly fine. However people choose to desire success, it's okay. But I think I said one thing is that we need to be very careful when we look at time, because time serves two things, and time works for nobody, right? Time works for itself. You cannot control time. And the two things is that time is good because when you focus on it, it gives you some form of focus to say, all right, this is what I need to do, and this is where I need to be in a couple of years, right? Yeah. But the thing about it is that when you don't meet that couple of years, there's a tendency for people to feel unaccomplished. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And then, of course, you get with your mates are doing this, right? Your mates are doing that.
I'm going to be 30 soon. I'm going to be 35 soon.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So your mates are doing this and doing that. You get that. You hear that all the time in the back of your head, especially in our society, that reminding you about time. But one of the things I just want to understand is that, things happen when they're supposed to happen, right? If you do your job, you make the right decisions in life, right? You felt you are comfortable with the decisions that you've made in life. I believe everything always comes full circle. And then I'll talk about self-care. You can focus on how you should be successful and how you need to do this, X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, and I believe even as a professor, the amount of students that I get that come to my office hours, right? And usually they used to come talking about my assignment and, I want to do well in this class. The amount of them that talk about the stress that they have in their lives as to why they weren't able to be productive or why they just can't handle themselves, or the family issues that they have going on, personal issues that they have going on. I mean, it's alarming to the point where it's like we're neglecting our own self-care because the desire to be successful is just outweighs it. It doesn't even matter. It's almost like I'll get the rest tomorrow. Just let me be successful today. But the body and the mind doesn't work like that. And me, myself, I've also learned, like, look, you mentally, emotionally, physically, right? It may sound minimal, but it's extremely important. And spiritual too. These things actually matter. These things that actually are the foundations of what leads to a successful and quality life. And if we ignore the amount of energy we put into making sure that we tend to our own needs and tend to our own emotional well-being, and we place that after running around and doing our errands and trying to be known and popular and successful in all of these things, some way, somehow, it's going to clash. Yeah. So my advice to millennials is that, you'll always find the advice on how to be successful. You'll always find the advice on, what are the steps to be, the next Warren Buffett or Mark Zuckerberg or whatever it may be, or whoever whoever you want to emulate and admire. Those things are there. But I will tell you now is to start laying the foundation of having proper self-care. Focus on your feelings, focus on your emotions, take care of your health, right? Find something that you can anchor yourself in. I mean, faith-wise, spiritually, find yourself that you believe in. If you have a faith in God, anchor yourself in that. Because look, on the journey to success and on the journey of life, it gets very, very difficult sometimes. And you want to be able to stand firm when the winds of life blow. And you can only do that when you're taking care of yourself emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. Wow. So that's what I would say.
Wow, this thing, so it took me back memory lane. I think it was late 2017. I didn't know anything about heart rates at all. I think there's this thing about guys not checking their health, but I'm not part of that anymore after that happened. So I checked my heart rate, and I'm not supposed to be going above 80 beats per minute. And then I was doing 120, waking up in the morning. That was me being fully rested. So that, okay, I need to take care of myself. So I can imagine that they're trying to get this done, salaries at the end of the month. There's this project you're working on. Now you're trying to grow in the midst of all of this. And, you know, your health is just acting up. So I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. I'm sure there's someone, I mean, my audience in different places, I'm sure you guys can hear about this now. Self-care is a very, very important thing. You know, if God forbid things happen, you know, I don't say God forbid, but then let's just take good care of ourselves, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So now, there's always this thing about, so for me though, I think I'm a bit of an hybrid, because I was raised, immediately I was done with school, I got into the hands of an older person who was the CEO of the company I was working at the time. So it took me as a son and then taught me so many things. Right. So that at some point I had to slow down. I felt I was growing old very fast. I was slow down. Okay, you know what? Enjoy.
I've always that way.
Enjoy your youth. You know, don't stop looking at these people as being too young. They're age mates. Right. Now, what I learned from him, I learned a lot of structure from him. I learned a lot of understanding of time from him, and then mixed with my energies as a millennial. I think I've been able to put some balances in different things. Now, there are lots of people out there who think the older generation is too slow, too laid back. Now, the older generation also think that millennials are too energetic and then they need to calm down and slow down and things like that. I think that if millennials can focus or can leverage on the structural mindset of the older generation, or the ability, the thought of just building structure first, and then the older generation can also look at the creative energies of millennials, I think good things will happen. Now, from everything you've seen so far about millennials, about Gen X, about boomers, what are the things, because I'm sure there are different people from different generations listening right now, what would you advise both generations to do so that both generations can fully utilize each other's strengths?
I feel like even when we talk about generations, it's always sometimes, you know, what will come out is sometimes negative. I always hear that, millennials, they're lazy, or they think they know it all, or they don't really want to work the traditional work, right? They think success happens overnight. You always hear sometimes the downside of how each one feels about, your generation feels about one another. Like you said, there's so much to be learned and there's so much overlap. I definitely believe that the millennial generation, it's a different generation, right? And as it should be, right? The generation that will probably come after us, in a sense, the one that we have, it's going to be a little bit different, right? But I think there's always so much to learn from all generations. There's things that bring us together that really separates us, right? And if it may be age, and it may be time, yes, those are the two main things. But at the same time, I believe that everyone is trying to make it and trying to live their lives and trying to accomplish in their generation as best as they can, right? And some of the tools that are advisable sometimes doesn't apply within this generation, right? It may have only worked within that time. So there's a tendency for them to feel that, oh, you guys think you know it all because you're not utilizing or taking my advice. But it's not that. It's that the times have changed and that the advice that you're giving me now may not necessarily be applicable to this time. So things like that can definitely happen, but I definitely feel that there's much to be learned. Then there is much, that's not to be learned. And I think there should be a respect on one accord because, if you're able to rise in your generation and make something out of yourself, I think that's a testament. And I believe that there are qualities in leadership and success and strategic thinking that can be applicable to all people, regardless of the generation that you're from.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. I would advise you listening right now, right, to always just bring a note to the African Millennial Radio Show. There's always something new to learn. I mean, it just keeps getting better and better, and you just raise the bar right now, because what I can hear you doing and saying is you're giving practical thoughts and advice to people out there. You're not just going up the top and saying you just do this, you're telling them this, and then you're telling them what this will lead to. I mean, thank you very much so far for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Let's go on a short break, and then we'll be back for more conversations on balance. Okay. Yeah.
There are 1.8 billion globally. That will make 75% workforce by 2025. They will outpace earnings of baby boomers in less than 10 years. Smartphones and tablets are the argument settlers and fact checkers of every conversation. Get more insights on African Millennials on Africa Business Radio. Towards a profitable Africa.
That's cool on the beat.
All right, welcome back, everybody. How's the show going? I'm sure you're having a very, very wonderful time. I mean, it's sunny outside, but it's cool in here. It's cool in the thoughts. It's cool in the atmosphere right now in the studio. I don't know. My engineer here is really, really enjoying these things, and I saw him typing some things out now as Dr. Yetunde was saying some things, earlier. Dr. Yetunde, thank you so much once again for being on the African Millennial Radio Show.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, you're welcome. All right. Now, I'm using myself as an example a lot because I think I'm a good example of an African millennial, right? Who's trying to get something done.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you. I work a lot with women, and this is it. So I was raised by a feminist. Right, my mom. Okay. My mom she's a leader, right? She goes for what she wants. She respects everyone around her. They all feel better when she's around. In fact, anytime she and my dad get to have a conversation and everything, at some point my dad just leaves everything to her and just watches her do it, and then comes back, and then I could see that thing a lot. Now, she raised me, and then some of the things she put in me unconsciously was my ability to believe a whole lot in what women can do. So they even say that medically speaking, a woman's brain is more quadrilateral, a guy's brain is linear. So a guy can't multitask. A woman can have a baby crying and taking care of the baby while there's food in the kitchen, and then she's typing a project on her laptop, and then she's well coordinated. A guy cannot do that. The food would burn. Okay. The baby would keep crying. You just have to shut the laptop down to face one, right? And I've discovered something, right? That once I get stuck or I can't move on, I just speak with the ladies around me and say, "What do you think about this?" And I just go with what they want. Now, sometimes it gets in the way. I try to say, "No, give me a reason why you're saying this," because that's where my masculine part comes in. I mean, I need a reason for this. I don't want to trust your intuition. Now, from everything you are, from your studies, from your talks, from your experiences, what things would you say? Or what things would you, how will I put this now? What would you tell a person who has a doubt of including a lot of women in their decision-making processes or in their organizations?
Well, I believe that, individuals are actually doing a disservice to him herself, because, this also happens not only when it can happen to a man in leadership and actually a woman in leadership, where a woman may feel that the only way to get things done may be to work with all men. So this does happen. And a man may be in a position where he may feel that the only way to get things done in the way he sees it is to hire only men. Okay, so I've seen this happen on both sides. I think it's a huge disservice when there is no inclusion of women. There's no balance of equality of both sexes. And because one of the things about any workforce is that you want to be able to have minds. You want to be able to have thoughts and ideas, and people be able to put their suggestions and their recommendations and their own strategic thinking on the boardroom. And when you block out a whole sex, a whole group of people on the basis of their gender, right, on the basis of, them being a woman, then what does that necessarily say about you and the business that you're running, right? So that's why I said it's a disservice on all ends. Because one, it's not good reputation. It's not strategic or forefront thinking. It lacks some sense of gender equality and inclusion and even diversity in the workplace. And then therefore, as a customer, as a client, I definitely wouldn't think you have what it takes actually to achieve the goals that you have in mind. I believe that the issue of patriarchy and sexism is probably actually more prominent than you actually getting the job done. So at the end of the day, I think in the world that we live in, where this stuff still happen, right? We still know that women here, even in the U.S., get paid only what is it now, 80 cents on the dollar, and if you break it down, I mean, from race, now it gets a little bit lower. Yes, we still know that even in corporate America, many women are still trying to break the glass ceiling. Even in academia, as a professor, though we have women who are professors, but we may have women, but they are not diverse, right? So I'm the only, we call it African American woman in the department, right? There are probably less than 10 of us, probably on the whole campus, who are professors. So in many different fields, you still see, I even recall, like, even if you go to like the physics department, there's no women, right? So even from college professors, I mean college presidents and university presidents, you see that. And depending on where you go around the world, depending on how deep-seated patriarchy is and paternalism is and sexism is, it gets even more difficult, right? The cultural, traditional, and religious ingrained of the process also inhibits women from going to the workforce and actually making their voice heard and contributing their ideas and their thoughts. It's a serious issue, and it's a global issue. It's not just peculiar to one place. It's all around us, and I believe that we're all trying to work in a way where we find a balance, right? Where everyone is equally represented in all spaces and spheres in the world.
Oh, okay. Well, because I just believe in having women around. I mean, I think things go faster. I don't know. I just think so. I just think
that could be very true. That could be very true.
All right. So, about your new book, can you tell us about balance and how to get a copy? Because I'm sure a lot of people want to get a copy. Your website is dryetunde.com, right?
Yeah, so it's Dr. You can pre-order it now. It comes out March 2020. It's dryetunde.com/books.
Okay.
So or you can just go to dryetunde.com, you click books, and you can pre-order your book right there. Shipping is worldwide. And I'm excited for it. I think I've been sort of on this writing journey for quite some time, and I'm happy that it's come to an end, and now people can read and understand what I've been thinking and sort of harvesting and talking about for quite some time, and hope that it just resonates with everyone and it helps everybody put their best self forward.
Okay, good. All right, guys, go get the copy. Go pre-order dryetunde.com/books, and then check out on Instagram at I am Yetunde. All right, guys, thank you for being on the African Millennial. African Millennial Radio Show this afternoon. I'm Tomi Wale, and don't forget to go on getupping.com to take the African Millennial Report survey also, and let's do something interesting for Africa, right? All right, then. Thank you very much for being on the show, and have a very good afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you thank you, Dr. Yetunde. Yeah, bye.
Thank you.
You're listening listening to Africa Business Radio, where you get up-to-date insights on the Africa business landscape. Log on to www.africabusinessradio.com. Your favorite shows are available as podcasts. Download them on our website and mobile app. Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.